You too can draw graphite pencil with Annette Kinship. Welcome back. This is segment 4 of You Too Can Draw. Surely you've already been to 1, 2, and 3. Segment is in 2 parts. First part is about cleaning your tools, how to clean the tortillons, the erasers, and keeping your pencils sharp, or sometimes keeping them rounded. The second part of this segment is about easier application, how to work your wrist and your arm motions, how to work your fingers to get the position of the pencil to work the best.
Hi again, this is Annette. I think we're on segment 4. I want to remind you and review. Remember, we learned how to shade, we learned how to use just the tortillon, the dirty tortillon. We learned how to put pencil on and move it with a clean tortillon. And we learned how to put on hard lines and move that around and still have your line there, but you move your shading or your pencil outward. We learned how to do some hair with dirty tortillons and lines and erasing. So we've already talked about all these several times, but here's all your H's. Remember, they're just more gray and they're harder. And the graphite B pencils are softer and they get darker as the number increases. I wanted to remind you of that so that as we talk about things today, we're not going to necessarily draw today. We're going to learn how to work our hands. I wanted you to believe in yourself that you could do at least a sketch of an eye. So we went from here to sketching the eye and learning about the tools. I want to first, before we go even further and even to doing that, let's talk about these tools. I have a variety of tools. Maybe you only have one of these, or maybe you haven't bought one yet. But a variety of pencils, even if you get the small thing of pencils with just a few H's and a few B's, and you start with your highest B, might be a 4, depending on what package you bought or what container you bought. Let's talk about cleaning the tools and sharpening the tools. I want you to understand that sometimes a rounded tip is really best, so you're not getting a hard point hitting the paper. The hard point, hitting the paper, again, could give you an indentation, and you're going to get a hard line, even with a B pencil. Now these are fairly not been sharpened very much lately because I've just been using them. But every once in a while I have to get in and I have to sharpen everything. But there's sometimes I do not sharpen certain pencils because I know that they're really my best usefulness is to be able to take them on their side and there's no tip, there's no hard tip hitting the paper and making a solid line that I can't get back off or making it look like pencil. This allows me to just wiggle my finger and have a soft tip on it. Now every once in a while I will sharpen that again, and I will need the sharp of a dark 8B. I'll need that point because I'll want it. So let's go ahead and get that sharp, at least for the show here. This is a carpenter's pencil sharpener. This is more of the graphite pencil sharpener that you'll get at the store, but this one's gotten kind of dull for me, so I use that one. But we can get in here and clean up the very tip and keep getting it more pointed and more pointed. And now we have a sharper tip. But this is a very soft pencil. Now if I want to get a nice clean line from that, it's still going to be very dark. It's going to be my 8B dark. And I can even get a nice crisp, soft movement with it pointed. So we want the different levels of color that we can mix. It's the same pencil done from the side, and a soft tip, a rounded tip, and a sharper tip is going to give you more color and a fresh color. So we're going to do that, and here's an F. The F, remember the F is a sharp pencil, a hard pencil, but it's black, it's not the gray. So an F is a hard tip, but it's also black. So we can get a nice fine line if we're looking to edge something or create lettering or give a leaf a nice crisp line. And we don't want it to be gray, we want to see those lines. So here's my F. I sharpen it and I get a nice clean sharp edge from it. My 8B is soft, but I get a nice dark color from cleaning it up. Or a rounded edge will give me this color that I can then take a tortillon and blend. See how it fills in the crevices of the paper? By using that tortillon, we get rid of our white. And here we'll even get rid of more white because it's darker. Same pencil, 8B. And then here we've got a nice crisp F, but then I can take my tortillon and just give some shadow to my leaf without even adding more pencil. So I want you to know that about sharpening. It's all kinds of pencil sharpeners. You can use many different ones. These are one of the best sharpeners. They're sold. Here it's a little cleaner one, but I have several of those, but the blades get dull and they're hard to find just the blade. Okay, that's more like I bought it from Walmart for a school pencil. Here is that sandpaper block. Now you can just get sandpaper and staple some on a big piece. This is probably, it feels like it's about 100. It might be 100. I don't know. It might be less than 100, but it's about 100 sandpaper. That 100 or whatever it is, it only cost me $1 for this, and it lasts me quite a long time. And you also, if you buy some tortillons and erasers, sometimes they come as a package even at Office Depot or something. You'll get a small tortillon and a big tortillon and a couple erasers, and you'll get this sandpaper with you. So you can either buy the sandpaper or just take a piece of sandpaper out of your thing. It just can't be too rough because it won't give you a clean edge. We're going to show you, see how that one side I've done sandpaper to it? This other side is very dirty. I'm going to leave that one. We're not going to mess with it because I like the idea of that I can take this one and use that dirty part of the tortillon really nicely, and the clean side I can use just the tip has a little dirty on it. So I'm not going to touch that one, but we'll go ahead and work on one of these. Here, this is really dirty on the top. It's not as dirty as some of my others. I have to leave some really dirty ones or I won't be able to just mix and blend without touching the paper with a pencil. But here we go. I can clean my tortillon on the sandpaper, get a clean edge again, get a nice tip by just turning it. I'm not going to do it absolutely perfect the way I would if I was just sitting there cleaning all my tools. I just want to give you a demonstration how nice that is. You can clean them back up. You don't have to throw them away. Now I just blew it off and it's nice and clean, ready to be used as a clean tortillon. And of course it gets dirty pretty quick, but you can use that. And if you need a really clean one, you buy extra and always have a clean one, or you clean it right away. Now, I can reuse this sandpaper to clean my erasers. Here's an eraser. It's my real tip has got some graphite on it. I can use this sandpaper because it's still good, and it actually takes the graphite out of the sandpaper and takes it off and makes it last longer. But see how it's giving a nice flat edge, and then I'm going to go on the other side. Get a nice clean edge. Blow it off. They get so dirty, I have to clean all the edges. I have to take them and clean every edge and get them all nice and fresh so there's no graphite sitting on them to mark up my paper. And you can just get it all clean, get all that lead off, and get nice sharp edges again. Those sharp edges, remember, we can use them to create hair. We can use it to just clean stuff up. We can use it to create a highlight on a leaf. There's so many areas we can use that to actually create and cause our drawing to be beautiful with the eraser, not just the pencils. Okay, nice clean edge. We can take the school pencil eraser, which comes in handy to put on the edge, and you get a nice clean, we clean it, or buy a bunch of new ones and then use them. You can reuse them for a little while because it's a pretty deep hole in there. Eventually that hole shows up. But that too, you can get a nice controlled, solid removal because it's got that small edge to it. You don't have to, it's easier, and it gives you a control of a smaller space to work with than a large eraser. Okay? So everything is workable. Here's a white one. I've got all kinds of erasers. It's pretty dirty, and again, it will clean up. So you can reuse. You don't have to buy new ones constantly. You can reuse and reuse for quite a while. And now we've got a nice clean sharp edge again. Different erasers. The pink ones pull off differently than the white ones. Some of them pull off better. Some of them pull off, they're just different. So I have so many different kinds. These are kind of new to me, but I love them. They give me kind of a round cleaning off. I don't sharpen them. But see that roundness? So when I pull off, it's a thicker movement, but it doesn't mean I have to take it all off. I can take off quite a bit. Now let's go to that knead eraser. The knead eraser gets loaded with graphite, but all you have to do is mix it, and you can use these forever. As long as you mix them, I'll just sit hanging around with somebody as I clean up my tools or watch TV and watch a show, and you just stretch it, keep moving, and I think some of the graphite actually falls off. You just don't see it. I'm not really sure, but it seems to disappear or dissipate. You don't really have much left. And I can use some of these knead erasers a very, very long time. And see, it's nice and clean again. And then I can roll it. I can make different shapes with it, remember? And we talked about that in the tools. We got a round edge, just to erase. I got a sharp edge. Like if I have tiny eyelashes on a small picture I'm doing, I'll do things like this. I'll just come in like that. Can you see that? So your erasers are very important. Cleaning them every so often is very important. You can't let them just keep getting dirty and expect not to have the dirt or the graphite on your fingers, and then you touch your paper, you're going to have that. So you've got to clean them. And you've got to clean your tortillons. I always clean my tortillons first because my eraser will take it and make my sandpaper last longer because it cleans the graphite off of it. Now I just made a mess all over my cloth, but we'll figure that out later. So again, cleaning your tools is crucial. Remember, I use the feathers to brush away my eraser stuff off my paper. Then my oils from my fingers don't end up on my paper and keep it from erasing or blending. So I use feathers. Other people use other things. And I guess that's it about cleaning your tools. I think I covered everything on that, remembering all of this. We've talked about that. And our last video, we built an eye together. Remember this eye that we built? And this is, again, we weren't doing it on perfect paper. It was old paper, just so I wasn't wasting anything good, but I wanted you to see the smoothness of the Bristol smooth paper compared to this pretty textured feathery paper, okay? And if you want to draw an animal, here's, an eagle, and we've got an eagle eye. A little bit easier to formulate an eagle eye, but then you get into the feathers on the eagle. There are so many colors of graphite on there, so many different of your grays and your Fs and your soft pencils. This is filled with many, many variations of our pencils to get all that variety of feathering, and then a background of an American flag. And that was really fun. I sat there for a long time getting that pulled together, and I love it. I just had so much fun drawing that. And I think you too can draw. Have a nice day.
This second section will cover you joining me to do swirls and circles, lines, to free up your fingers and arm movements. So have your pencils and paper ready. Are you ready? Let's get started.
So this is going to be a quick review before we just work our hands, okay, and our arms and our wrists, and just talk about that. Very short video, but we want to remember shading, highlighting, H pencils, B pencils, erasers, tortillons, large ones, small ones, dirty tortillons, clean tortillons, feathers, sandpaper, and the beautiful things that you can do with eyelashes and the edges of the eyes and the eye over here, and making it look orange instead of graphite color. That's with all Prismacolor pencils. And then remember, we did the eye together. We did it together. I did it to show you quickly, and we did one together. Remember to sign your work, even if you don't think it's perfect. Just sign your work. So we're going to talk today. We're going to remove the eye away. Obviously, not everybody's going to want to draw an eye. You might want to draw a leaf. You might want to draw ears. You might want to draw the whole portrait. You might want to draw a sailboat or a tree or flowers or a beach ball. Anything that you might want to draw is using these techniques first with the pencil, because the more you get practice with pencil, the easier painting is. So here we are. We're going to start with our 8B big fat, nope, it's a 9B, big fat pencil without any wood on it. And I want to just show you how to, you just move your wrist. You want to be light. You want to learn to just shimmy your wrist, and even the pencil is loose in your hand at times. Sometimes the pencil has to be strong and tight, and this is what we're going to get nice and strong. We're going to get some real solid, but this is when we take it to its side. Nice firm pressure, soft pressure, just to get a light color of this 9B started. So this isn't going to come off, remember that. This will come off, more than likely, most of it. Then we want to learn to just shimmy the hand. Just shake those fingers. Just move and move and move and move and move and move. And this is just practice session. We're not trying to draw anything. We're just trying to get our hand and our wrist and our fingers coordinated to do things that we're going to want it to do or need it to do, depending on what we are drawing. So we're not worried about anything looking like anything. We're just trying to get our wrist and our arm. Your elbow is free. We're not plant it on anything unless we have to plant it to get this nice solid line, but still the elbow is free. The shoulder is free. We want to be able to move that shoulder freely. And then we can do our lines again. Just loose, just nice and loose and loose. And then we want to maybe do some circles. We're still got a loose line. We have more of an oval that shapes when we're this loose. To get a little bit more of a circle, we might have to hold the pencil a little bit better, a little tighter. But we still want to practice doing circles. The more we do lines, circles, straight lines, just shimmy that pencil across the paper, the freer up we get in our design. And it's easier to get it to come out the way you want. So your practice sessions are just holding a pencil, thin, small, big, and you might even do big ovals. You just want to get your hand and arm to move together. And then maybe little ones. Right? One thing about graphite pencil that it just came to my mind, right now my hand is rubbing on all this graphite, so I'm mixing the graphite and I'm getting my hand all dirty. So you have to remember not to do that when you're working on a real piece you want to happen. You work from this corner over and around to create, if you're doing a full collage of things. For a portrait, you can work in the center, but you have to maybe put a piece of paper down or something under your hand so you're not mixing together. Or you just have to keep your hand off the paper altogether, right? No hand, no arm, no hand on the paper. But there's times you have to have your hand down to create a solidness, or maybe your hand underneath your hand, your arm. So then we get, to do this kind of thing without building up that graphite on our fingers or on our wrist or something. Because we'll forget, we won't know it's there, and we'll go over here and we'll go to do something over here and get a bunch of graphite on here. And it might come off, came off pretty good, because it's just like putting dirty tortillon pencil on, but it may end up being somewhere you were trying to have just an absolute highlight, okay? So you want to keep that in mind. So again, just lines, working that pencil, just getting yourself to be able to be loose. And then lift the elbow. And then we're going to just put pencil on in a nice straight line. No curve. Even amounts. And then we're going to make the big oval. A small oval. Pinky has to come up for that small oval so it doesn't hit the paper. You might have your eye perfect or the leaf perfect, and if you do this, all of a sudden you got to fix that leaf or eye or pupil. So you can go hard. You can learn to make a hard line too. We're not worried about it because this is just our practice. And then we can learn to make a big circle. Practice that circle. Keep the hand loose. Let the elbow move around. You want that shoulder loose. This is a little difficult for me because I've got the paper down here so you can see it. It's not up, it's not on my lap. You can sit and watch TV, and you can just keep moving that pencil. Just learn how to move your wrist, your shoulder, your elbow. Get the elbow off your lap, pick it up. Again, here we got this one. This one's kind of fun to do. The figure eights. And the better you get at that, of being free to do that, the easier the hand will move when you go to do a portrait, a tree, or a leaf, or anything else. So let's do that again with a fresh start. Ready? Actually, I can't use that one. That's princess. That's a princess and a prince that I started to do, and I want to remember to do that. We'll just use the old paper, the not smooth paper, and we'll do some circles on this real feathery paper. Remember, it's still good paper. It's just very, very porous, So here we go. We're going to use this one to start. And I want circles. Again, getting my circles at this angle to show you is a little bit more difficult. So we got more of an oval going on. But I just want to get my arm, my shoulder, my hand, my wrist, and my fingers to all decide how they need to work together to get what I want. Long ovals. Straight. Straight to the opposite direction without turning the paper, or maybe we'll get a triangle going. We get a triangle going. I'm not sure what that would be used for, but you know, it's just to get your hand to work. Now, it looks like a nose and a mouth and an eyebrow. Now, we're going to do that curve. Here's our eyelashes, maybe. It's a big eyelash, so it's going to be different when you go small, but you still want your hand to be able to just move. So your practice sessions until we get together again about pencil, or you take one of my detailed classes, we want to just have you understand that this is to loosen up the body, get it to work together. Nice curve. Hard lines. Now we're going to get that hard line in. We want to take it a little tighter, but still, I'm not looking to do this nice crisp hard line that's there permanent. You can't do anything else but have that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a hard line still coming from your edge, so you're not leaving it so hard that you make indentation in your paper. You're putting color on, and the color might not come off. This is a 9B, right? And then if we want to go stronger, we can go a little deeper color, so we get it more on. If we got a dark spot, we need a lot of graphite. We can do that. We take the side of the pencil. Now this isn't very sharp, and we can do the same thing. Stay on the edge and still get a dark color without the dark line. So your practice is just getting your hand to move, right? Getting that hand to move with it. Now, if we need it to go another direction, we can do this, right? We can do this kind of thing. But if your hand, whether you're left-handed or right hand, works better to create that curve coming from the other direction, you just turn your paper. Small. Learn to go small. Learn to go big. Learn to go straight. Again, you can turn your paper. This is just to get your arm, your shoulder, your wrist, your elbow, your fingers to let you coordinate. And you're going to use your fingers different ways. You can go this way to get pencil on. You can put a pinky underneath to get more support so that you can get in there and do something a little different if you need support to get that round circle. Or if you need to go here to get it so that it's does what you want it to do. Pinkies off so that you don't touch anything. Or you put a piece of paper down and you protect your paper or things that you already drew by putting a paper underneath or something. Okay, so that's the beginning. Again, we can do this figure eight, long figure eight, or ribbon. Remember the candy ribbon? So we're making candy ribbon. There's so much to learn, but you can do a lot with these 4 sessions. And I'll double segment on this one. You can learn a lot by just sitting around, hanging out, you're talking to somebody with coffee in the kitchen, and you got a pencil and a paper. It doesn't have to be good paper. All it has to do is be a piece of paper, even from your printer. So like I said, the printer paper and even a 2B pencil, a school pencil, just to get you to loosen up. But to learn how to use the different types of pencils, whether it's an H or a 2B compared to a 9B, yes, you're going to want to like play with the edges of each one of those. So as you get to have a larger variety of your grays and blacks, then you'll want to be able to know how to get them to work. So, but to get the arms loose, you just need a pencil and a paper, making your circles, even with your gray H's, even with 6B. See how cool that is? See how the H, can you see how the H made a groove? That little bit I did. See the groove in there? It's like a, what do you call that? Doing, anyway, imprint. That's kind of fun. All right, well, that's all for now. That's a lot to practice with. Take some time for a couple of weeks and do some practice on your pencil, your arms, your movements, your eye. Practice working the eye, practice working the different kinds of pencils that you picked up. Remember, practice using your erasers and remove, but mostly practice getting to the point where you're ready for more. Our next series is going to be about watercolor. You can buy just an inexpensive thing of watercolor, very beautiful. It does really well, good color. Or some gouache. You could buy gouache, which is more of an opaque watercolor. We're going to talk about those in the next series. But let me just show you a very simple little just color from this. This is just from this inexpensive thing I bought at Michael's, and I don't remember the name of the company even, but it's very pretty, very good watercolor for the inexpensive kind. And then just taking water and a brush and a little bit of the color and creating this little rainbowy sunset with an evening water, a little bit of a sandbar for you to see. You can make something fairly simple very quickly. Add a bird to it, put a footprint in the sand. So we're going to go into some watercolor and gouache in our next series. And then we'll have you looking out for the next pencil drawings as well. But this will be our next one, watercolors for basic stuff. All right, till then.
In this 4-part series, we've spoken about the tools to use: pencils, erasers, different types of papers, tortillons, even feathers. We've talked about shading and highlighting, how to remove graphite, how to put it on. We've talked about and drawn an eye together, and how to make eyelashes and hair. We've spoken about the different variations of the pencils from your 9H to your 9B, and I've shown you a graph that I designed to help you see it better. And now here are some eyes of different people I've drawn. This is just a zoom in on their eyes. I've done the full portraits of these people. We have a red head in the center top. And if you look close at her eyes and around her eyes, you can see the freckles. We have in the center a baby. We have down on the right Frank Sinatra. And if you look at his eyes closely, if you know Frank Sinatra, you can pretty much tell that's Frank Sinatra. We have Ronald Reagan, the president and an actor, on the left lower end. We have even Cindy Crawford in here, and Drew Barrymore, and Katharine Hepburn, and a couple other beautiful models. Notice that some eyes are closed. We even have Nancy Reagan and Ronald Reagan in a kiss, and their eyes are closed. We have an eagle. See if you can find the eagle. On this page, we have the full portrait of Ronald Reagan, showing that he was an actor and that he was a God-fearing man and President of the United States by his lapel being part of the flag, with his eyes again down below him. And then we have Frank Sinatra, or as they call him, Blue Eyes. At the very top, we have his eyes again, taken from the portrait below, showing 3 different ages of his life, when he was very young, and then the time he was more famous for, and piano keys coming off his lapel to show his musical background, and then in the center as he was older, singing somewhere and with a mic in his hand. You too can draw your favorite famous people, as I did Frank Sinatra, President Ronald Reagan. You can draw the eyes of your first loves, your children, or grandchildren, or friends' children, and dream big about drawing beautiful, big eyes of someone you know or someone you love. This is a profile portrait. I want you to notice the eye on the portrait. I want you to see how the crevice, how it looks deep within how you see the cavity of the eye in the profile. This is a portrait done of Drew Barrymore when she was modeling, I believe, after she was in E.T. as a little girl, and I believe before she did 50 First Dates, which is a later movie that she did, and she's done several others. So, eyes, eyes, and eyes, and more eyes. Let your creativity grow. Think about what you want to draw, whether it's people or leaves. We will talk about many types of drawing, but you got to start somewhere, so we're starting with eyes, because I have a lot of eyes that I've drawn. These are 3 very large 16 by 20 pencil drawings that I made up. They're not anybody's specific eye, but the first one is representational of a man's eye, and his glasses are falling down onto his nose, and he's looking at a woman in a bikini. The one in the middle is the ocean with a sandbar and waves crashing in, birds, and I think there's a boat or a ship in there somewhere. The one on the right, we talked about that. It's clouds and it's a full moon and there's birds, as if you're right there in the sky. So again, let your creativity grow. Let your license to be an artist take you wherever you'd like to be, even if it's just sketching, just for fun. Thank you for joining me with this You Too Can Draw Graphite Pencil series. This is Annette Kinship. Please remember to subscribe, as I shall be doing pastel, watercolor, acrylic, and oil painting basics also. Signing up for a 6-week graphite pencil study will be available to you on the 5th video as we begin our watercolor basics series. The time and the cost will be announced on that 5th video before it starts.